My Aunt Vav does not believe in natural death. She says that every death happens as a result of the earth reclaiming you, be that for good reason or bad. Curses, or something awful has latched itself onto you, or takes you. She says it doesn't matter whether or not you have a good spirit inside of you. It does not matter about your deeds, good or bad, for the earth does not think like a person does, and neither do the things that we instinctually fear. When I was 4, I met Vav for the first time that I can actually remember her. My mother and I went to stay with her because our neighbour's kid had gone missing, and my family, being hyper-vigilant about these kinds of things, took me to Aunt Vav. Aunt Vav lived in the Northern Territory, on a large property off Stewart Highway. Her house is a shed with concrete floors and corrugated iron walls and a roof. She has no groundwater or attachment to the mains, so she relies on a large rainwater tank for showers and drinking water. Vav has a metric ton of guns and stuff, and I'm not entirely sure if it's all legal, but she's a woman living alone with only dogs for company a good amount of the time, so fair enough. Now, Aunt Vav comes from some really old blood of warlocks and druids from Scotland and Wales, but she thoroughly believes in the spirits and creatures of Australia. As far as I know, her husband died when I was a baby, and Vav keeps his ashes on a shelf in the living room, in an urn with the ashes of the 2 babies they lost. I don't remember much about the visit when I was 4, but I do remember that Vav never kept her 5 large dogs on chains. It caused my mother great distress, for she worried that the pit bull mastiffs, would harm us. All my life, Vav has ignored her concerns. She has always said that people who chain up their dogs outside are idiots, for a dog does not belong on a chain. She says they can't protect you on a chain, and sure enough, the dogs never harmed us. Instead, would often come on walks with us, ever watching and herding us close to the house. Now I have visited Vav many times over the years, and as I got older, she has given her wisdom to me. I don't particularly give a if you believe me or not, but I am just offering these stories to you because I thought it would be good to share them. Basically, there are several things that I have become sure of. The first is that when Vav dies, I will be the one who inherits the house and land. I'm not particularly sure if I will want it when she does. Secondly, Vav is cursed. She says that her grandparents did awful things that angered the spirits, and it has been passed down to her, and she is the one who has the blood, as apparently I do as well. When I was 9, I was sleeping on a mattress at Vav's house, in her living room, because Mum was in hospital in Darwin due to complications with her pregnancy. I went to sleep after watching some Rugrats on VHS when I was woken up by the dogs. Vav had 7 dogs at this point, with 3 of the original 5. The rest were younger. I could hear them barking and snarling like crazy, but it was beyond anything I'd ever heard dogs sound like. And I've heard what dogs are like when they're chasing down a wild boar. I was pretty afraid and got up to go look for Aunt Vav, only to find her already sitting at the table by the kitchen door. She was slowly loading a rifle, had the pockets on her belt bulging with ammo, and there was a shotgun and machete on the table across from her. I remember asking her what was wrong with the dogs, and her looking up at me with a smile. I don't know, Blue, but let's go have a squiz. She let me hold the machete in its sheath as we left the house, and led me to the edge of the veranda. The area around us was lit up in all directions from her perimeter lights, which she must have put on whenever it was she woke up from the noises. She propped a shotgun up against one of the beams. I remember her eyes sharp and bright as she scanned the area. She whistled for the dogs, and they came running, whining and snarling with the ruff of their backs raised all the way down their spines. "This is private property. You are trespassing. If you understand, respond immediately, or I will use force to remove you." Aunt Vav planted one foot a little in front of the other as she held up her rifle, and I simply stood there, being about as useful as a bag. My hand finding anchor on the back of Ripper, who was squirming with his muscles all bunched up under my palm. Now in this area there are no streetlights at all, in any direction that you can see. So while the stars seem to be endless in the sky, you cannot see a thing. We stand there with nothing but the sounds of the dogs whining. Usually you can hear frogs or insects, an ambient noise, but it was like the whole area was holding its breath. "Vav," I said, trying not to piss my pants. I didn't understand why she wasn't calling the police when we heard it. There was a thump. Then,
"Respond."
A f***ing gurgled mess of the word was hissed at us from somewhere beyond the line of light, and there were rustles from grasses in the direction Vav was pointing the rifle. At this point, all the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I pissed myself. Vav hissed at me for a torch, so I gave her one of the big yellow ones that were on the ground by the house, fumbling the machete but not totally f***ing it up, even as warm urine made my legs itch and my jeans stick to me.
"You."
She swung the light beam back and forth, but it didn't reach very far at all, and I didn't realize what she was doing. There was a reflection from a pair of f***ing eyes out there in the dark. Yellow-green spots that stood a little taller than me. Vav didn't even hesitate. "Sick 'em." Just like that, all 7 of the dogs took off into the darkness, their snarls like battle cries as they went to chase down whatever was out there. I just wanted to go back inside when Vav suddenly tilted her head, listening. There was a quiet thump from somewhere to the left of us, and Vav handed me the torch and told me to shine it out into the dark. I was nearly crying, and when we saw the eyes, Vav started punching out rounds towards it. I dropped the torch and covered my ears against the sound. There were several thumps that sounded like a frightened rabbit, but so much louder, bigger. Vav swore, picked up her shotgun and the torch, and ran off into the dark. She was swallowed into the blue-black night. Her torch beam cutting through it. There were more thumps. That's when I saw it. Illuminated just for a moment. It was black. His back arched like a cat, with a big, thick tail, but he was easily half as tall as Vav, with legs built for running on all fours, and a massive head. There were more shots in the dark as the torch beam hit the ground and rolled away from the thing. The thing was screaming, loud, guttural cries. I could hear the dogs hightailing it back to the house at the noise. It was frozen against the wall, and Vav must have picked up the torch because the beam was shining sporadically back and forth, searching. "I saw what you had," Vav was screaming into the dark. "I saw what you had." Then Vav let out the strangest moaning sound, like the type that comes when you're on a roller coaster and feel ill, but can't scream. She shined the light out on the trees as the dogs came thundering back, barking more. Spud was holding his left front leg off the ground, his pained yelps between his snarls. Then, Blue, are you still there?" And if there's one thing Vav has taught me, it's that if someone calls out to you in a situation like this, you respond. "I'm here, Vav." I heard him mumbling out there, still shining the light out as the dog circled her. Get inside now." I was hit in the eyes by the beam of swinging torchlight as Vav sprinted towards me, and I had turned to get inside when something stepped right parallel to me off the veranda. I only saw a long, skinny limb, about the same circumference as my own, take a long stride towards where Vav was. It had to have been a leg, but it was at least half as tall as the roof, and whatever the rest of it was, had to be much taller. I screamed and ran as fast as my legs could carry me to the door, my slippery, sweaty hands managing a grip on the screen door handle, ripping it open. Then came the steel bar door, and I pulled it open as Vav's shoes hit the veranda edge. Once I got inside, Vav barreled in after me, slamming the door and locking it. She was sweating and white as milk. I was crying. "Oh, Blue, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Blue." She was saying, "It's okay. The tall ones wouldn't hurt you. You're a kid. They wouldn't hurt you." It was only in the morning that Vav sat me down and told me that the tall thing by the veranda was something that hurts the other things, the things that can speak. She told me that the tall ones come from the trees and they only cause mischief, usually, but they travel after the others because the others take people. They take children. Vav spent a long time on the phone that morning and made me stay inside watching my movies. She left for a while, but came back and told me that Spud had died. I cried for a long time. Spud was a good dog. That afternoon, a ute pulled up and had 3 Aboriginal men in the back and 2 in the front. They dragged a dead kangaroo out of the back and left it on the veranda, and Vav went outside to speak with them. She said that the things had taken one of the Aboriginal children and left the kangaroo as a symbol of good faith to pay for Spud because they believe that Vav is a bush hag, a cursed witch. She told them that the tall ones were searching the property, and they said that they had called them after the ones who took the kid. Vav said that the kangaroo was payment enough and they could leave the property peacefully. Vav said that they fear her because she's cursed, that they have to repay whatever they take from her because everything she owns is property of the dark spirits. That night was the first time Vav had let me see the things out there. I asked her if I could tell people. She told me I could, but that nobody would believe me except the Aboriginals, and then they would be afraid. There are things I have done now that I know people would never believe. I don't expect anyone to. If you do, great. Thank you for listening. If you don't, it's okay. I wouldn't either. But these are the main things Vav has taught me that I follow. You cover their tracks to protect other people. If you find a body or kill something, you take it to the edge of the property and the others will claim it. You never try to take them alive. Do not hesitate. You never try to get payment from them or use them to claim payment in any way. Do not keep souvenirs. They are not people. They have no grasp of human logic or emotions. Still here? Good. There's more from Blue coming soon. Please like and subscribe. It's free and it helps so much. Until next time, just remember that humans talk, but not everything that talks is human.